Sorry.
Okay, we're going to convene the Mayor and Council meeting for October 17th, 2016. Our first order of business is to approve the minutes of the Mayor and Council meetings of October 3rd, 2016.
I would move to approve the minutes of the Mayor and Council meeting October the 3rd, 2016 as submitted.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Looks like I need a copy of the operating funds. So the operating funds on hand, I'm pleased to report that our total operating cash on hand for unrestricted use is $2,058,931.20. If you recall, we had been as low as, I think, 500,000?
Yeah, 5, 6.
Something like that. We just got a nice check for property tax income from the county, which is why we're back to where we should be. And we also got reimbursed for a lot of grants that we had covered from the general fund. Within those funds, we have $180,480 designated for rail trail, waterfront, marina activities, and recreational initiatives. Our third order of business is the payment of the bills. Is there a motion to pay the bills?
Move to pay the bills.
Liz signed them all this week, month, week, so.
Move to pay the bills.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, our fourth order of business is Audrey Uchin from Washington College SGA. Going to give us an update. Did I pronounce your last name correctly?
Uchin.
Uchin.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay. Everybody's
It was one or the other.
I respond to all of the above. So.
All right.
So I just wanted to say hi. I'm Audrey Uchin. I've had the pleasure of working with you all as the former Secretary of Service and Community Relations, as well as the former Vice President of the SGA. I wanted to update you all tonight because I will now be acting as the President of the Student Government Association. Taylor Fry, who you all knew as the previous president, has resigned the last week of September for personal reasons. So I, as Vice President, have stepped into that role and will be taking on the student government. So I just also wanted to give you an update on the state of the SGA. We've had, since the start of the academic year, we've lost 4 members of our executive board, including our president, parliamentarian, secretary of academics, and secretary of service and community relations. The person who we lost was Tim Reagan, who you guys might have worked with in the last 6 months or so. But that being said, I'm happy to announce that we've found some great replacements for all of the open positions. Meg Kuros, our new vice president, and myself are very excited to be leading this organization. We have a great new secretary of service and community relations, Vanna Lobby, as well as a great secretary of academics, Brian Riley, who will be able to collaborate together to hopefully do some events in the future with our local schools. So they are going to be working together in the next 6 months or so to hopefully put some great events together. And I'm sure that some of you may have met Vanna. She circled around First Friday and met some of the community members and business owners to be able to get a feel for everybody in Chestertown. So I also wanted to address some points that our Chief of Staff, Tom Brennan, brought up at the September 19th meeting. He did mention we were looking to do a similar iServe event that we did last year, and I'm proud to announce that as of this morning, we've decided that we will be doing another rail trail cleanup on November 13th from 1 to 3 p.m. Similar to last year, we'll be reaching out to local VIPs, college students, and community members in order to attract a large amount of attendees at this service event. And another initiative that Chief of Staff Brennan brought up was getting freshmen really involved with the town. And so we will be having a small competition between all of the freshman floors with their RA groups to have an initiative for them to go out to this event and really have them understand the value that Washington College and Chestertown places on servant leadership and community relations, because us as an SGA, as a college, and as a town really appreciate the relationship we all have together, and we want to show freshmen that during their first semester here. So we will be reaching out to the Heron Point community, similar as we did last year, the DCA, and other local groups to raise attendance at this event. And I know it's on your agenda for later on this evening, but we are also partnering with the Chestertown Lions Club to put on the parade for the Halloween on the 29th. And we have flyers, we have copies of the flyers tonight, if any of you guys would like them to display around the town. So that's pretty much all of the updates I have for you all. I wanted to be here, make this announcement in person so that you guys are all aware of the transitions that we've had in the student government so far this year. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to email me. I'm autchen2@washcall.edu, AUTCHEN2. So please email me if you have any questions, and I look forward to working with you all within the next 6 months or so.
What were the times for the rail trail again?
It is 1 to 3 p.m. We haven't just reached out to anybody yet as we decided on all of this information this morning, but we're hoping to have it set up start around noon, 12:15, so that we can be prepared when all of the wonderful volunteers show up.
And where will we all meet?
Hopefully in the Dixon Bell parking lot. Our Secretary of Service, Vanna Lobby, will be reaching out to them in the coming week or two, and I can present a new update to you all at the next time council meeting.
Yeah, last year you guys did a great job drumming up volunteers. I think we had 120 people
Yeah,
or some
120.
crazy number, and I didn't think the rail trail looked all that dirty, and I was a little worried there wasn't gonna be enough trash, but they filled up 30 giant trash bags. It was really amazing. And so yeah, definitely work with us because we can coordinate having our street crew, or I'll be there probably with my truck to trash at the end, and we can probably supply some of the basics like the trash bags and things like that.
Do you take a government class? Do you take any government classes?
Personally, no, I do not.
Oh, I see.
I'm a business major.
I was just
so-
wondering, when I was in college, I had to attend, I had a speech class, and I had to attend the speech instructor's play he was in. I had to drive away to get there. I just thought it'd be nice if we had some of the students show up here one night. He said it was for extra credit, but you knew darn well if you didn't show up, you weren't going to get a very good grade.
So I have an opportunity to speak at our monthly town hall meeting at Heron Point tomorrow morning. And you said you wanted some Heron Point volunteers, so I could announce it if the date is certain.
Yes, date and time is certain. It's
Right.
just.
And then I can pass on more information later, but we don't have another meeting before the cleanup.
Yeah, well, good timing then.
It's also nice to see an actress participate in First Fridays.
Yeah, I know a lot of our college organizations love taking advantage of all of the wonderful events that Chestertown does, so I will pass that along
Thank
to them.
you. Oh, I tell them all the time. Thanks.
Thank you so much. All right, our next order of business is the police report with Chief Adrian Baker.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm very hopeful my dollar glasses will survive this.
If they wear out, I got a pair of dollar glasses right here.
They look the
I
same.
might take you up on that.
I buy them by the handful.
Hey, I'll follow up a segue on the college. I would like to thank the students and the college and our community organizations for doing a good job so far with controlling our concerns, neighborhood concerns with parties and noise. I'm not saying it's been perfect, but I think this overall group approach has been working well, and I'm not going to jinx it anymore. So I'd like to present the report for September 2016. I'll give a breakdown of the hours, which were 36 hours for administration, 2%. Criminal investigations were 30 at 2, accident investigations were 8 at 1%. We had 822 hours of vehicle patrol, 52%. Our foot patrol was 134 hours, which was 9%, 106 hours in training, 7%. Court was 1%, and our overtime was 10%, which was 160 hours. The majority, at about 51%, was shift coverage. Extended coverage was 8, 37 on training, and we had 4 for court overtime. We had 8 adult arrests that involved 22 separate charges. 7 were for bad checks, 5 were for CDS, 3 were for theft, 2 for litter, and we had 1 for forgery, an FTA, a fugitive from justice, 1 alcohol-related, and 1 rogue and vagabond. And someone asked about that, if you don't know, rogue and vagabond is a specific charge when we have someone breaking into vehicles. And actually, it's usually when it's an unlocked vehicle, and it's just a charge that we can.
I thought there were two different things, and I wondered what the
Yeah.
difference was between a rogue and a vagabond.
So if we see somebody like crashing in a car, around a car, and they have, property they don't belong to, where they have tools that could assist them in breaking in.
That charge has been around for over 100 years.
You told me,
Yeah, it's a.
It used to be you could just pick them up if they didn't have any place to go, and you put them in jail.
Vagabond anyway.
I guess a vagabond isn't necessarily a rogue, but...
Perhaps, but anyway, we had 0 juvenile
And a
arrests.
rogue might not be a vagabond.
Absolutely.
We had 14 Part 1 offenses. We cleared 2 by arrest and 3 by exception. We had 9 Part 2s. We cleared 5 by arrest and 1 by exception. 28 motor vehicle citations were issued, 234 warnings for motor vehicles were issued, and 455 red speed citations were issued by the county. Our ward breakdown, we had 20 calls for service in Ward 1, 118 in Ward 2, 124 in Ward 3, and 113 in Ward 4, 24 were outside of the jurisdiction. Our busiest time was from 7 to 8 in the evening, average, and our busiest day average for the month of September was Friday. And if I may, while it's on my mind, I do want to just bring to the attention of the community and council. We've had a couple elderly people, and this kind of goes in waves. We've had a couple elderly people come in who have received phone calls, and this is a scam thing going on. It must be very convincing. And one gentleman I dealt with was absolutely convinced that he literally spoke to his nephew on the phone. And it went something like, he got a call from an attorney who said his nephew had been arrested for drunk driving, and then he thought he actually spoke to his nephew. And anyway, the instructions were to go get a MoneyGram, and unfortunately they told him to send it to the Dominican Republic, which he did, $1,000. And before he could return home, they contacted him again and said, hey, we're going to cancel that. We want you to send another MoneyGram to another address. And he kind of put 2 and 2 together and came to the police station. So we called the number, but as often happens,
Right.
No connection. So
Yep.
we can't put it together. I think he'll be fine, but unfortunately he's lost $1,000. So just be mindful. And again, he was absolutely convinced that he literally spoke to his nephew. And I said, well, let's call your nephew. So I actually call him, and nephew's like, hey, Uncle Dave, I don't know what you're talking about. So just be real mindful. If it sounds kind of funny, like send your money to the Dominican Republic. The Republic is a pretty big clue, but even so, just don't. If you have any questions, call the police department.
Good. Any questions for the chief?
Yeah, I do. Where we stand right now on your force strength and people off duty for disability and...
So I have an authorized strength of 14, that includes myself, of sworn law enforcement officers. Then we have 1 full-time administrative and 1 part-time. I have 1 officer who is on active duty in the military, and he's in the sand somewhere, but I don't know exactly where he is. And we anticipate that he'll be gone for probably a couple more months at the least. Then I have 1 officer who is on a long extended sick leave. That's the officer who tore his shoulder, and he's had actually several surgeries. So his status at this point is unknown. And then everything else is filled. Okay?
Do you have a light duty status?
I have enacted that for a very short period. If I allow that, I set I set the period, like we'll give them light duty for a month, and then we reevaluate it again. If you might recall from a state experience, or at least mine was, that can be taken advantage of sometimes. So when you're granted light duty, it is with the evidence provided by a doctor that you will have a return date in the near future. And we certainly can use that. I mean, administratively and stuff, it's to our advantage, but we're not going to have someone on light duty for a year or anything crazy like that.
Well, having had a major shoulder injury, I can be very sympathetic, but he's on disability pay, I guess.
He is being compensated by workman's comp at this
Okay.
point. Okay? Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next order of business is the town manager's report, starting with the proposed zoning ordinance amendment.
Okay, I met with Kate Moore this afternoon, and we went over the rezoning request, and it's a little bit simpler than I thought it was. The first two changes that have been requested or recommended by the planning commission are actually what would appear to be the same parcel to us. They're on the corner of Flatland Road and Cromwell Clark Road. You see the little division between the in the R4 designation. So that's not the parcel that we call Coventry 3, the major parcel behind that. So I think that's a little bit less of a concern. The other one, the R4 parcel, you see in the Talbot Boulevard area, and you can also see what's been left industrial is right adjacent to the road. You see that, Marty?
The little green?
No. If you see the R4 square polygon, to the left of that is a strip of light industrial. Remember, your question was what part of it gets left light industrial. So
Right by the road up to
Yep,
the little
that
circle.
rectangle, all the way up to
Yeah.
the cul-de-sac.
Is that where East Coast Storage is, right?
No, it's just before East Coast,
Right,
just
okay.
where the playgrounds for Radcliffe Creek School are.
Gotcha, yeah,
From the woods up from the draw, there's kind of a stream that goes through the bottom of that.
right.
So that tells you what they're up to. And I also want to add that, that the annexation that we did this year, the 2016 annexation number 1, is going to be on the map implicitly for that industrial and the zoning, the professional office. That came in with the double hearing annexation thing. So that's not on this map, but that would be all the changes.
Bill, as you know, I drove out that Cromwell Clark Road today, and there's a stream that runs through the far eastern side of that, the right-hand half of that.
It's Radcliffe, isn't it?
Is it Radcliffe? Upper end of
It feeds
Radcliffe?
into Radcliffe.
So there's a beautiful woods there on the right-hand half of the right-hand parcel of those two. Presumably that'll be protected in wetlands.
Well, there's
some of it
afforestation,
will be-
reforestation
Right.
laws. It's incredibly hard to take a forest and develop it.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether the
It's really dense woods,
R4
too.
zoning is going to be useful in the wooded area. I think the R4 zoning is appropriate for what I call the Hickman Farm. It's kind of a rolling farm that some of it was tilled. It's a pretty piece of property.
The one on the corner.
Right
yeah,
on the corner.
Yeah.
It's, so I suppose that's like the first 8 or 9 acres. The second 8 or 9 acres was allegedly, well, it's not allegedly, it was a county landfill in the 40s, 50s. So there are some issues that I think were resolved during, when Coventry 2 was built.
You mean where the woods are now? That was a landfill? Because there's some pretty
County.
mature trees in there.
County, yeah. Well, of course. It's been 40, 50, 60
Wow.
years.
Okay.
So, all those issues of critical area, if there is a stream there, all those issues have to be faced in the development process. It wouldn't matter what the underlying zoning was.
Okay.
Afforestation and reforestation is one of the toughest ones to deal with. But this is what's been requested and this is what's been recommended.
So remind me, did a developer request this change for the R4?
Property owners.
Property owners,
Right, the property owners.
okay.
So we haven't dealt with any developers yet, but the issues that we talked about before of volume of water in these areas, those will have to be addressed by the developer with the utilities department and those other issues, steep slopes, wooded areas, critical areas, floodplains, whatever.
This little R4, how big is that?
It's, the total piece is 19 acres. The reason we covered the whole parcel is basically the parcel that Mrs. Gross is talking about will never be developed. It's woods, it's already in forestation, actually it's under forestation management. And really, all that's going to be developed would be really that piece closer to the road.
No, I'm talking about the one.
Talbot Boulevard.
Talbot Boulevard.
Talbot Boulevard here.
That looks like more like,
This is what you want to change?
Yes.
How big is that?
That's, the front piece is probably 4 acres, 4 or 5. This is probably about 15 back here.
How do you plan on making access to that?
Well, there'll be a road. There'll be
Coming
a
into
road
here.
through the center. I mean, once you get a developer, they tell you what they want. But the road would come up, it'll be cognizant of there's a field right here, so the road will probably just come up here and then,
come up where we can't see what you're showing. So it would be off Morgan Neck Road?
No, it'd come up right up Talbot Boulevard, right up.
Oh,
There's already a road cut.
Yes, there is.
Right there. So
Right there,
just
yeah.
use that that would be a good point of reference. And then you would do probably, whether it's senior housing or family apart, whatever, you do something at sort of just beyond the industrial and then up at the rails trail level, which is a really different topography. You do something a little different up there.
The reason I asked that is if you planned on coming off of Talbot Boulevard, you would be cutting some of that industrial thing right in half. If somebody wanted to do something with that, they'd have a road running through their property.
That would all be coordinated, so we wouldn't overkill on roads and, we haven't been able to market this. Once we do this, we can get a feel of what do people want. We're not gonna waste ground on roads, though. It would be my view.
So what do we need to do, Bill?
We have to decide whether we're going to enact this or not.
And have we had any, company or site selector look at this light industrial land in recent time?
No. No, I think the owners would be able to answer that, but we haven't had an application in years for this site.
Okay.
How much,
Except previous attempts by the present owners and the owner before to sort of get something going with industrial. So, I understand what they're talking about. And I do think, I would not be in favor of this, and even though I don't vote on anything, if we hadn't annexed so much industrial land near major highways, not tucked back in a park like this.
I think we're
Other
fortunate
buildings
that
like
we...
where Radcliffe Creek School was built to be an industry, and it's a school.
Right, but not only that, look how many years it sat there without being anything. It's just kind of like off the beaten path.
So it's time to fish or cut bait.
Yeah, but I'm in favor. I think it's okay, especially in light of the annexation, adding so much more industrial. There's still room for plenty of light industrial in there.
well, part of that light industrial that you are so much in favor of is also going to be built with apartment houses and residential.
Correct.
So it's not all of that property.
I know, I understand.
In fact, we probably are not gaining much more than what we're losing.
But I think it's probably pretty comparable, if not a complete wash.
How many acres are going to be annexed?
23 acres here and...
No.
No, the annexation.
we've already done that. It was 40, wasn't it? 60?
40 or 50 or 60.
Yeah. And
So-
this is only...
I'd just be happy to see things get moving, and I'd like in any motion you make to have a finding of fact of some sort, that you feel like the inactivity here has led to this decision of, I'd say the biggest change that I see is that we had industrial along the highway, and we had changed that to professional
Right.
office, because that's the change that happened. The part of it that was allowed, business offices or offices, is what got developed. Dental offices,
Yeah.
doctor's offices.
In-line.
And so we've had these factories built that didn't become factories, that evolved into schools. So I'd say that's the change, and if you can make that your finding of fact, I think you'll go a long way in letting this stand as the way you're going to pass it.
Well,
It's your ward.
I would like to make the motion that we approve the zoning changes to R4 along Flatland and Cromwell Roads. And the second zoning, or rezoning rather, of the property that is along Talbot Boulevard to R4 with the hopes that it will better incentivize development because prior zoning hasn't borne any fruit. So
I think we should add that the character of the light industrial area changed due to in part,
Existing
the
development.
development of Radcliffe Creek School. And also the construction of the rail trail will make it more suitable to residential development.
I agree with that part of it, although rails and trails run by industries all over the country. I mean, they run by railroad stations. This is a silly question, but what is that? What is those little lines running there? Is that the Talbot School, or what is that?
I think it's meant to represent their playground.
The playground.
This is,
Oh, it's the wrong side?
No, that's shaded
No,
area.
that's on the other
The
side.
right
I have
side.
no idea what that is.
It looks like a printing
I
error
can
of some sort.
guarantee you it's nothing of any relevance.
Yeah.
I think also the R4 zoning
Distracting.
within the town boundaries is consistent with the town's desire to grow within the town boundaries adjacent to existing infrastructure for water and sewer. I'm just trying to throw out as many
That's-
findings of fact as we can. Yeah.
You may also want to find,
There's a motion on the floor.
I'm sorry, I was going to just give you another fact.
We haven't got a seconder
I
yet.
think there's enough, I think they've stated enough. Now it's a matter of who's in favor of it and who isn't.
We'll have the second.
Yeah.
I could live with it if we didn't, if we made sure they came off of Morganek Road and not off Talbot Boulevard, because I could just see where that a road through the middle of that would cut that property. And,
well, I have a little bit of knowledge about that area, and at one time, there was to be a road cut through there.
Yeah, you can see it.
it's still there.
It's
Yeah.
still there, the cut.
And the building of that relocation of that business fell through, but it's there.
But when you had that, you also had that property of R4, which could expand out, so you don't have that anymore.
No,
You
no.
understand what I'm saying?
It fell through, it just didn't
I
happen.
understand it fell through, lots of things fall through. But what I'm saying is if you cut a road through there now, you're cutting it even less area. Before, when you cut a road through there, you had the R4 property as part of that industry.
What are for?
Talbot
The one
Boulevard,
that we're now making into an R4.
Talbot Boulevard is.
What I'm saying is, I don't,
The widest road in town. It really is. And any a route to any other.
as far as the other pieces of property, that's great, fine, that's super. It just bothers me that we're doing away with our light industry area, but
We've got lots. Not even all of this is developed that is in this area, right? I mean, there's,
The one I mean, I guess we gotta get to this vote, but the one requirement I think the council's gonna have to make is that the developer, while the owner owns the land that's adjacent, that right-of-ways be granted to Talbot Boulevard. So, this can come later, okay? I mean, I think we're,
Well, there's a motion. Is anyone going to second the motion?
I'll second it.
All right. All those in favor?
aye.
Any opposed? It's okay,
I
Mark.
really
Just
have
say-
mixed emotions about it. I just don't like to give up that property. I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
so what I was saying, if I could finish it, that the easement, while you still own the land, both properties, the easement has to be granted to get to Talbot Boulevard for the development.
We would have to do that anyway, I think.
Well, no, I mean, if you sell the property, then it's hard to do later.
Why can't they go to Morganac Road?
I'm not sure what he's.
What I'm saying is, going to Morganac Road is a near impossibility.
Well,
You
because of
don't-
the terrain.
Yeah, I think that the state of Maryland would prevent us because of the slopes and the
No.
land and the tree.
It would just be so prohibitively expensive in
Yeah.
the first place. So what I'm saying is that the easement needs to be preserved to Talbot Boulevard while you still own both properties.
It is only one per person. Oh, I get it.
Yeah, got me now,
I
okay?
get you. If we subdivide it.
Because the planning commission may not get a chance to say that before the property is sold.
Oh,
I understand.
Okay?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, and it should be,
That's not.
okay?
All right, well, that's been
Yeah,
big.
the next thing was, let's go back to the donation request, the Kent County Chamber of Commerce Young Professionals. Has any more thought been given to their request for $500 or a modification of such?
did we get the written application?
We did, we had it then.
Oh, I don't,
Jen had it, actually.
oh, I don't
Jen
think
had
we
it.
ever saw
It
it.
says the same things they said.
Okay.
But the thing is, what I mentioned, I think, is that you have to put in that form for $500, but not for $300 or less. And I think what we should do is help them, we should waive the fee for the pavilion use and loan them the $300 without going through this process. And if they have a great event, fine. If they don't, then we still have a partnership.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. I just see anybody that wants to have a function of some type and doesn't want to take the chance of putting on the function, comes in here and expects the taxpayers to underwrite it. And I don't think that's what we want to do.
I've had a different thought about this. I'm really opposed to us giving them money for a beer festival. But I also greatly appreciate their mission and its positive impact on our community in fostering, networking between young professionals and young business owners. And I think it could be really important in keeping such people here in Chestertown. And I was just wondering if we could phrase it as sponsorship of the organization rather than of the event, to just give them a startup fund.
I still like the loan some.
I like that too. I mean, I'm just saying it's not for their beer festival, it's to support the organization and its mission.
That's a real business, and if it's a success, then they got it all.
Yeah.
They got it all forever. If they make $10,000, well then,
Good for them.
paying us back $300 is not gonna hurt them any.
So that's what I think we ought to do, and I think we ought to support them to the extent. I like what you say, we're supporting the organization, not the event.
Well, I like that too. However, I brought up the JCs, which is the Junior Chamber of Commerce. And the JCs charge dues. You're not charging membership.
As far as I know, you don't have a charter yet, do you? You don't really have qualifications, right?
Right, so
Just-
because we're so new and we're really trying to get this organization off the ground, no, we're not charging. We've talked about it, and it's certainly something to explore in the future when we're a little bit more established. But as of right now, we're trying to build our audience and build our base.
You have officers,
We
the
do.
president, the vice president, and all that?
We do.
Because
You have a charter?
No, we have like bylaws, and we're also officially under the chamber, so we kind of act independently, but we're under the umbrella of
And
the Chamber
then
of Commerce.
the chamber couldn't spot you $300? Could they couldn't loan you $300?
Right, so, I mean, they're also pretty restrained in what they do too, so, and that was a part of the overall agreement that we could essentially fall under the umbrella, but we would have to act independently, and that also means self-financing too.
They're
So
restrained.
they're managing
how?
they're managing our overall money, kind of acting like our treasurer, if you will, which takes a huge burden off of us as an organization. But yeah. So it's in light of recent developments. In order to not complicate things in terms of our overall request. The loan idea would be because, you know, the event could end up being rained out, washed out, what have you. Thankfully, the Kent County Economic Development Office came through with a pretty significant sponsorship, so we should be covered. We have enough seed money now to actually have our event. So we're really grateful to the Economic Development Office. So we can actually table the overall request, but I would still like to, of course, take you up on the offer of waiving the fee for the pavilion.
Good.
So just to kind of, you know,
That's a
make
soft
things as easy as possible, because I understand the request was a little bit controversial.
That's very nice.
And in order to kind of
That's what I
just
like to hear.
keep the relationship going and moving forward, we'll table that overall request, but we will take the waves.
When is your beer fest?
Saturday, November the 5th,
What time?
12 to 4 p.m.
Okay, in Wilmer Park, right?
Yes,
12 to what?
4 p.m.
But I still strongly support what you all
Yeah.
are
I mean,
doing.
I do too,
I
but
think it's something that's
If you
really,
really want to support them, Liz,
Go to the
they'll be
beer
glad to take your personal check.
at the beer festival.
And that's not taxpayer money.
way.
She'll
So
write you a
slow
check
punch.
later saying
Yeah.
she really wants to support you.
You can write us a check and we'll throw in a couple
But
of tickets.
don't write it out of my pocket.
Oh, come on.
So, but, so yeah, we'll take you up on the waived fee, and then we can all move forward.
Good.
So that's
Okay.
it.
Anything
That's
else?
my report.
All right. You good, Marty?
Yeah, no, I thought that was
Marty's
great.
the happiest guy in the room.
I'm so happy for you that you, and I think you could have done, well, I won't get into that, but I don't want us to be the first place people come to.
I hear you.
All right, let's move on to the mayor's report. We've got,
You've got good things to report.
we've got two things here. One is that this Saturday, the Chestertown Recreation Commission is having their annual Family Fall Fest. It's from 10 to 2. It's going to be held basically on the road that is adjacent to Memorial Plaza. So the permit request closing Memorial Plaza between Court Street and Cross Street from 9 to 3. And then they're gonna have some putt-putt golf. They're gonna be borrowing some bricks from the street crew that they will then return after the event. So, the permit's already been signed, so that's.
What time was it
One
again?
event, 10 to 2,
So that's Memorial Road, whatever it's called.
this Saturday. And then the next event is the annual Halloween parade, which if you haven't seen it, it's a real hoot. It's adorable, really. It's Saturday, October 29th.
We're all supposed to be there
At
at
10 o'clock. And generally, we are asked to judge. I don't
We
know if
have
you guys-
been.
Have you been asked?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten a phone call.
Okay.
Well, I got a letter.
Yeah, I will say that it's probably the best, I don't want to make all those other parade people angry, but
That's
it's
local.
probably the best run parade that you're going
It
to run
is.
into.
Yeah, they
It's
do.
so
a great job.
organized.
Lions Club. So they'll be lining up at 8:30 at Dixon, and by the time it's all said and done, it's about 10-ish when they start coming down High Street.
Yeah. 10 inches is a good.
10-ish.
10-ish.
So Bill signed a permit here that they basically request for us to have the police help with some no parking signs and to enforce that, and for our police to monitor traffic, especially up where they are assembling the parade. So that's something else to look forward to. And then the last thing on my report, I spent half my day today driving to Annapolis to deliver 4 of these to
4 of them?
the lobbyist that's helping us try to acquire funds from the miscellaneous projects category of the governor's capital budget. So just an update. I know we had a presentation from the group known as the Chestertown Waterfront Coalition, which consisted of the Kent County Chamber of Commerce, the Downtown Chestertown Association, members of the Greater Chestertown Initiative, and then Drew from the Sultana Education Foundation. So those 4 groups really worked to go to bat for the town to help us solicit letters of support for this project. If you recall, last winter, we had a similar campaign. We ended up with just north of 100 letters. This year, with those folks leading the charge, twisting some arms and helping us get organized, this binder has over 400 letters of support. I don't know what else we could do. If I said, we're giving away free mugs of beer at Town Hall, we'd be hard pressed to get 400 people.
So I'm gonna help you with those.
So I just want to read you guys the cover letter that I wrote. I'm just going to read this in full.
You're gonna read all 400 letters?
No, I'm just going to read my letter. So this is what I wrote to Governor Hogan. Dear Governor Hogan, in 2012, faced with losing the only public access point to the Chester River, the Mayor and Council of Chestertown purchased 2 acres of waterfront property that includes the community's last working marina. The purpose of this acquisition was to, 1, restore the marina facility, which is in urgent need of redevelopment after decades of deferred maintenance in the private sector. 2, to preserve water access for residents, pedestrians, and transient boaters. 3, to promote heritage and ecotourism to Chestertown and Kent County. 4, to stimulate economic development in downtown Chestertown. 5, to support over 100 existing jobs tied directly to commercial activity on the waterfront. 6, to preserve Chestertown's 310-year history as a royal port of entry to the Chesapeake Bay. And finally, to galvanize the revitalization of Chestertown's National Landmark Historic District. Since the marina property was purchased, the town has worked tirelessly to bring this project to fruition. In the past 4 years, the Mayor and Council have solicited community input for the design of the property through a series of public charrettes, hired the engineering firm of Macron Inc. to create build-to plans for the facility, obtained permits from the Maryland Department of the Environment, secured grants for dredging from the Maryland Department of Natural Resources, and worked with the U.S. Department of Agriculture to apply for funds to pay for stormwater retention elements on the site. The importance of this project to Chestertown's history, culture, and economy cannot be overstated. When completed, the newly renovated marina will be a landmark destination for boaters from around the region, generating $1.7 to $2.2 million in direct spending to the local economy and supporting the creation of 30-plus jobs in Chestertown and Kent County. The facility will also support annual waterfront festivals, including Sultana's Downrigging Weekend, Riverfest, and the Chestertown Tea Party Festival, that bring hundreds of thousands of dollars of tourism dollars to the region each year. Now that we are shovel-ready, the town of Chestertown requests $1.5 million from the miscellaneous projects category of the governor's capital budget to help us complete this initiative. To show that there is broad-based bipartisan support for the project, I've enclosed a binder containing over 400 letters from business owners, elected officials, nonprofit organizations, the president of Washington College, as well as board and faculty members, residents, visitors, and transient boaters. Please note that there is not a single form letter in this entire collection. For a town of only 5,000 people, this outpouring of support is truly remarkable. To solicit a capital budget allocation for the revitalization of the waterfront, the town is working closely with an advocacy group of concerned citizens known as the Chestertown Waterfront Coalition. This group, consisting of the Kent County Chamber of Commerce, the Downtown Chestertown Association, the Greater Chestertown Initiative, and the Sultana Education Foundation, represents over 350 businesses that employ over 5,000 people in Kent County. The involvement of so many key stakeholders clearly demonstrates how critical this project is for economic development in Chestertown, Kent County, and the Upper Eastern Shore. We are aware that there are many funding priorities to consider when formulating the capital budget. That said, this is a worthy project that is vital to the future of Chestertown, one of the crown jewels of the Chesapeake Bay and the best preserved colonial seaport in the Mid-Atlantic region. On the inside pocket of this binder, please find a 2-page summary of this initiative. Also enclosed is a 4-page summary of excerpts taken from the 400 letters of support, highlighting the many reasons why this project is worthy of funding from the state of Maryland. Thank you in advance for your consideration of our request, and please don't hesitate to contact me directly if you have any questions. So, these letters, I mean, I can't tell you how much work goes into. The index alone in this is 20 pages long, and then there's different categories, so they're separated by elected officials, local government officials, Washington College, business owners, which is one of the thickest sections, just other organization, a big stack of residents, students, and then non-resident visitors. So I don't know what else we could do to show that there's a lot of support for this. So what our lobbyist is going to do is basically deliver this to the secretary of the guy who puts the budget together and all of his deputies, and I've got my staff at Sultana working to put another 6 of these. Just copying these and putting this together is, I have to tell you, a big pain in everybody's backside, to be honest. But if you guys want to check out a copy, I have that one for now until we distribute it. So That's where we are. The way the process works is they kind of make decisions over the winter during the session, which runs from roughly early December through February. And if we get in, we're in, but then they can basically pick at it. And we would have to, assuming we get in for whatever amount that the governor sees fit, I would basically probably have to go testify in Annapolis, and you're really not guaranteed, even if you're in, till about the end of April, that you're actually in. So this process is going to be ongoing and fluid for the next several months, but I think we're off, and I don't think our lobbyist agrees, we're off to about as good of a start as we can get. So.
Is the lobbyist going to train you for your testimony? Because
I don't need training.
I know, but
I walk in there, it's like people just break out
But,
the money.
Yeah, right.
Yes. He's very helpful in saying, look, these guys want to hear these 3 points and
Yeah.
cut to the chase.
Right.
He's very succinct because he's been doing this for decades and he knows what the selling points are for this project. He's pretty familiar with it, and so that's where we are. But yes, he's given me talking points.
Well,
Senator Miller told me at the dedication of the Cromwell building that he was going to get this money for us.
I know he's been very supportive and that's very helpful for us.
Chris, you've been carrying the load on this, I know this coalition has really helped in the last few months, but oh boy, kudos to you because
Thank you. I mean,
it's a lot of
pushing.
work. Yeah, I don't know what you could do.
A lot of people look at the facility and they just don't see physically the changes happening, but they assume that we're not doing anything. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this tonight, to show that we are pushing as hard as we can. So that's my report. Why don't we start with you tonight, Liz?
Oh, goody, thank you. Not a whole lot in the first ward. I do want to just report, I think this is the third time, but I understand we've made some progress on some missing street signs. The erroneous street sign for South Kent Street, which should have been North Kent Street, was removed months ago and has never been replaced, but I found out from Bill this afternoon that it was actually ordered and may even be in hand. So it's just been lost in the transition and the management of our street, which is great news. There's a missing sign at the corner of North Kent and Waldo, and we have one completely meaningless and useless and faded no trucks sign. Obviously people have to get oil and gas deliveries and other kinds of deliveries. So that's right there at Richard Drive too, right where the trucks go to the water treatment plant. So if that could be removed, the new bridge on Byford, going into Byford Court, is a humongous improvement. Thanks very much to Tom Sappington and the crew for doing that. It was all done in-house, which is before it completely broke down. It has a little more tweaking to do, but it's pretty much there. I was across it today, and nice smooth ride. That's it. Oh, I did have one other.
No trucks mean a lot of that is no parking overnight and so forth. That's part of that reason.
Well, I mean, it's not as if heavy trucks would be going in there unless they were making local deliveries on Richard Drive and Kent Street.
Well, we had people parking in our residential area.
Going back, I think a lot of them were put up because trucks were shortcutting through neighborhoods. They were using Kent Circle, and so they put up no truck signs thinking that would stop them, but what really stops them is if it's a paint in their
Yeah.
bus.
Well, you can't even see the sign, it's so faded much.
Well, there's a lot of them, as you saw from my email this
You could
afternoon.
make it longer and say no trucks except for deliveries or something, but
Local deliveries only.
as a policeman, it was always helpful to have something to keep people from cutting through there.
There's no where to cut to. There was one other thing, Chief, I forgot to mention it during your report, but several of the incidents in the first and second wards are misallocated. There's about 4 addresses in the first ward report, incident report, that are not in the first ward, they're actually in the second, and vice versa. Anyway.
But you're gonna say they're in the fourth
Isn't
ward.
downrigging 29?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, Chris gave most of my report on the Halloween parade. I wanted to thank the Lions Club in advance because they do an absolute wonderful job. And then downrigging is the same weekend. I'm for one, hoping that the rain is out of Mother Nature's system and the hurricanes. And Heron Point had their 25th anniversary celebration this past week, and fireworks on Wednesday night.
It was a great show.
You didn't go? Did you hear me?
Yeah, I heard you.
It was a great fireworks show.
No cost to the taxpayers. And,
Well,
but anyway, it was a bit...
It would be nice if we did the same thing on the 4th of July
Oh,
instead
I
of
know.
15, 18,000.
You brought that on yourself.
It's almost like you wanted that to happen.
It's kind of like, I just wanted to, it was a very nice
It was. I
celebration
should have
at
mentioned
Heron
that.
Point. It was really nice. And the farmer's market, remind everybody, you know, that we've got seasonal produce at the farmer's market, and aronia berries are at the farmer's market now, and because they're in season. And I think that's it. So we just have a really, really big weekend coming up, the last weekend of the month. Thousands of people will be here again.
Yep, we sold 500 tickets already for the boat.
How many ships are coming in this time?
7 or 8, well, 7 big ones, and then
Lots of
dozens.
little.
Your ship sold out, right?
Yeah, Soul Town
Hey,
sold
and
out.
congratulations on winning the schooner race.
Yeah, I don't know how that really happened, but you get like a handicap, that
Yeah.
is part of it.
Did the other ships show up? or-
Why do you guys all assume there weren't very many boats
Oh,
involved?
it's a dog.
All right, Sam.
Just one question from one of my constituents regarding Gateway Park and the lighting. Do you have lighting there?
Plans have lighting along the road. There's
Okay.
lighting that, and that, we do have the lighting, we just haven't installed it yet.
Okay, so just lighting along the road.
They'll be the same kind of fixtures as on High Street, the Granville fixture. And they'll be on spacing of about 30 feet, and it'll look really nice. It's not meant to be playing at night,
Okay, okay.
but it'll make it safer at dusk or night to walk along the sidewalk
Yeah,
there.
okay, great. And you,
It's 500 block of High Street has the Granville fixture. It's a Victorian fixture
Okay.
that's about 14 feet tall, just pedestrian type level.
okay, sounds good.
And apologize for not getting it done, but it's got to have some underground work done first.
Okay,
Kind of letting the grass grow.
sure. That's it? All three?
Marty.
Short sign story. 40 years ago, I was detachment commander and served a search warrant in Washington College. Students weren't as nice as they are now. I was walking down the hall and I noticed a stop sign, a street sign, and a highway sign in these rooms. So I went to the head of the student body there and said, you know, possession of a recently stolen property, you can be charged with it, with the crime. And I said, I think maybe I'll give you a week and then I'm going to walk back through the dorm and see what we got. He said, okay, I'll take care of it. He called the state roads, and the state road guys told me we couldn't do it with one pickup truck. We had to go back with a second pickup truck for signs. And those signs are expensive.
Well, there's a no truck sign they can
I don't know
have.
whether you're still doing that kind of trick or not. Plus, the country club whole things, whatever they call those things.
Yeah.
They had all those. They just cleaned the rooms out. But, I'm sure they're not doing that kind of stuff now.
Oh, of course not.
That's 40 years ago. The expanded parking lot came into use. With this good weather, we have a lot of people who, and I, 2 or 3 times this last week, when I would go there in the evening, we would have never been able to handle the amount of cars that we had at Valley Park. And that's not just dog owners, that's people running the track and doing whatever they are. So I am certainly kudos to our town crew for doing that. And finally, Liz didn't bring this up, but I talked to Bill today and I took a trip over the bridge. Did you bring up the bridge, the new bridge?
The Byford? Yeah,
Okay. Well, I took a trip across it myself, and it was really a great job. We're so lucky to have those kind of people who do that work. But what I thought was interesting was when I went to the end of Byford Court and turned around, I had to stop because a possum was going across the road.
Huh.
Now, I've seen deer in town and all the other things, but this is the first time I've actually seen a possum. And possums,
Oh, I've seen them.
they do not hurry for any reason. He just was walking
The one in
along.
my yard on High Street.
I couldn't get in the house one night after a town meeting because I had one laying on the
Your possum?
and it wouldn't move.
No. I was afraid this one was going to stop. He kept on going, so.
I won't say that I called the town
Some more
police.
trail
This
meetings
came up.
started, ended up.
But the job on the bridge really was a great job. And if we would have bid that out, we would have probably used all of our fireworks money for the next 5 years paying for it.
You can't touch it.
Maybe we should have the
In the hotel
town crew
tax.
fix the Chester River
All
Bridge.
right, is that it, Marty?
That's it.
Can your crew build sidewalks by any chance?
They can.
Not that much. All right, are there any requests from the public? There were no requests from the public to be on the agenda. Are there any questions or comments?
Your letter to the governor.
Yes.
Secondly, I've been getting a lot of emails. You can shoot me one too, if you think.
Sure.
Getting a lot of emails from the public that Marty writing about the fact that Blackborough is out of position and that the generator for Papa Smurf is a little loud address at all.
We have,
Talking to their
With the
meeting.
vendors.
Yes.
Yeah. There's I guess there's a shakedown period or whatever, that there's a little misunderstanding about what we meant.
Oh, I need to send
And
all that.
so Kay met with the Blackborough, and I talked to Kevin about how soon he's getting a new generator. He said for 2 days he was going to be out on the bypass, and I said, I don't think that's going to bother anybody. He intends to get a new Honda-driven generator. But I think overall, it's a matter of getting your cones or whatever in position the night before or early morning to get the spot that you want. So,
but yes, I've basically asked Kay if she could basically be the liaison between us and them, because I just think she has a great demeanor for that kind of job, but that's kind of part of her job. So, I think they've been more consistently where there's a meeting last week. That's been my observation, and I don't see it being a huge disruption.
I have one
At
last
all.
question. Bill, are you typing, are you doing the minutes for, are you going to type up the minutes? I'm just kidding you, I saw that there.
He's the new gen.
I did not ask him to be paid for doing 2 jobs tonight.
Okay, any other questions? All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All's in favor?
All right.
Opposed?